Hi, good evening. Welcome. We're talking some more Taylor. In honor of Halloween, my hair has decided to honor Mary Cochran. So, yeah, curls in honor. Let's get Jada going. Second. There she is. Hi.
Hey,
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Good.
Coming at you live from the Paul Taylor archives, as I always am. I've added a poster to their
Oh,
background for the night. All all portraits done by the man himself.
love that.
Yeah. Look at you. Where are you coming to us from?
My apartment in New York, in Lower East Side, close to the studio, very close. I can walk there sometimes, like a quick walk.
Are you ever just like gunning it for that like 10 a.m. class sometimes, or you're just like gotta go?
If I'm feeling like I can get that 5 extra minutes of sleep, like, but you're gonna be running to the studio. I mean, I arrive warm, so
I mean, it was like you got hired, and then like Devin's still coming from the Bronx at one point. I was just like, ooh,
I
she
know.
made the right choice. I also live nearby, which so we're both just like rolling out of bed,
Yeah,
sipping the coffee as we like walk in.
yeah.
Um, but you aren't originally from New York. You're from where?
Bermuda, India.
Ah. Which you're not, certainly not the first foreign-born member of the Paul Taylor Dance Company. Our very own Betty DeYoung was born in Indonesia. Takahiro Ueyama was from Japan. We've had plenty of people that were foreign-born, but I don't think you're our first person from Bermuda to be a part of the company.
Yeah. Which it's like honestly, it's funny because when I go to like different events, I kind of like low key say that I'm from Bermuda, and then people are like, "Wait, what?" It takes them a minute, and I'm like, "Yeah," and then they want to so much, so I'm kind of like a little bit of a mystery. I feel like I kind of like appeared from nowhere, and then they ask me questions, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm from Bermuda," and then they're like, "Wait, tell us more," and I'm like, "Okay."
I know. I mean, I just love that. Yeah. What is it like to grow up in Bermuda? Are you like, do you just spend your life on a beach?
I mean, I think being from Bermuda and you're always surrounded by crystal clear blue water, you sometimes take it for granted. But I think when I was home because I went home during the pandemic,
Oh yeah.
truly was like, wow, we have it really well here because I got the opportunity to go to the beach. I could go outside and really enjoy like the trees, the greenery. I'm not listening to like sirens or that city, all the city noises. Like I can hear like birds chirping, and I look outside, there's like a pink hibiscus, so it's in those ways it's really common. It's like going on a vacation. I like to recollect and gather myself when I go there. It's a great time to just like catch up with friends and people that have mentored me, and it's a really great place to just like relax and recuperate.
Yeah. Yeah. When I was stuck in quarantine for those couple months here, I was looking at your Instagram stories and just being like, well, this morning Jada's having fruit on the veranda, so good for her. But it's nice to live vicariously.
uh
I'm curious though, what got you into dance? Was there somebody from your family that was in dance? Do you have an older sibling, or what? How did that work?
right, so I think I began when I was like 4 years old. I
Hmm.
started at a dance school in Bermuda, which is named Emotion School of Dance. And it's under the direction of Liz Pimentel, which is like a huge mentor to me, always has been. And at the time, I was doing ballet, not modern yet, tap and jazz. So those little combo classes. And as time went on, I kind of advanced in dance, and I really started to be like, I really like this.
Yeah.
And mommy also had me doing like gymnastics, and I was kind of in those two, and I had to pick one. I remember she sat me down just because as you advance in things, like they start to overlap. So I couldn't do like this class because then I was in dance and I couldn't, so it was a really tough decision. And I was like, okay, I'm going to pick dance.
Mm.
And I remember after I did that, that's when I started taking modern. I think that was around age 11.
Wow.
I was like, wow, I really like this because it was like barefoot. It had still so much like technique in it. It was different than ballet for me because I don't know, ballet felt very strict to me and modern felt very real. Like it
Mm.
was raw. Like you can constantly, like I felt like I could connect it to things that were happening in my real life. Like I liked that I was constantly working and trying to achieve like a contraction and like things that I was like, wow, I really like this mentality of modern. And
I just have a question. Was it like a certain style of modern? Was it like closer to a Graham, Lamone,
yeah,
Horton?
more so my teacher at the time, her name was Miss Jen, and she taught us a bit of Graham. And honestly, I have really tight hips, so like Graham would kill. But when we would stand up, I was like, love this. Like, I was like, so I was like, okay, I know Graham, like floor exercise is not for me, but I also did a bit of Horton.
Okay.
And that's when I was like, okay, yes, like I do like all of the standing up stuff. And I know there's other styles and techniques that I would probably favor more, like for my body type. And
Right.
time went on, Liz actually, she exposed us to so many other things, like in New York and like the dance world outside of Bermuda. Like the island's tiny. And
Yeah.
at the time, she could see, okay, like Jada's really interested in dance. I'm gonna take her and a few other dancers to New York and we would go see shows and we would see like professional dance companies
Mm-hmm.
participate in like winter intensives and stuff. And that's when I was like, wow, like I wanna do this.
Mm.
Another teacher, her name's Candace Musselman, another like favorite. She really is the reason why I then went to the Greer School.
Oh, where's the
Because
grill? Where's the grill school?
it is in Tyrone, Pennsylvania,
Where's
and
that?
it's in Pennsylvania. It's in a kind of close to like State College. Um,
Okay.
if you know where that is,
Is it kind of in the middle?
yeah, it's hard to describe because it's like this. It's tiny. It's not. If you tell people like Tyrone and then you kind of say like, okay, State College, then they're like, okay, because that's where like Penn State is. So it's
Gotcha.
close to State College, where Penn State is. She kind of said to me like, I think that you should go and check out the school because she knew that I wanted to advance and dance. And at the time she was like, if you stay here any longer, like, you kind of are done here.
Yeah.
And really big decision for me because I only had 2 years left of high school.
Okay.
So I decided to go to the Greer School. And at the time, I mean, it's still run by this woman named Jocelyn Herzik. She basically ran the pre-professional dance program there.
Mm-hmm.
And first, we would do our academics in the morning. And then we would go to dance from 1 to like 6.
Nice.
Yeah, it was intense. Like, it was
Yeah.
intense. And one,
I love that you're like, yes, I've basically been a professional dancer since I was like 16. No,
no,
no biggie.
it was like that. That's when I was like, oh my gosh, we're kind of like a mini company.
Yeah.
Because she would bring in so many guest choreographers to set pieces on us, like challenge us. Like we were doing a lot of things at once. It was
Mm-hmm.
very different from what I was doing in Bermuda because it was at like a higher level.
Yeah.
So I pushed to learn choreography very fast.
Yeah.
To then different genres, contemporary, ballet, modern. Like she taught me so many life lessons as well as how to succeed if you want to become a professional dancer, like knowing your understudy roles, being versatile, etiquette, like everything. Like that's when I was like, okay, like I am in it. Like let's do this. Like I loved every experience that I had at the Greer School. And it wasn't until my senior year that I was sick and tired of that East Coast winter. I
I was about to say, I don't know how you made that transition from beautiful Bermuda to like frigid Pennsylvania.
my my senior year of high school, I was like, no, no, ma'am. I was like, no. And the campus isn't even that big. Like
Yeah.
all up to my little dorm, which was like probably 20 steps. But I was
Still
like,
brutal.
yeah, I was like, no, none of this. So I was on my little Google and finding like colleges and University of Arizona. I don't know how I came to find it. To this day, I'm like, how did I even find it? all I saw was palm trees, desert, that beautiful campus. I looked into the dance program, saw it was 3-track, which means like ballet, modern jazz.
Mm-hmm.
Let's try this out.
Okay.
Yeah. Went to audition there
Uh-huh.
and luckily got in. Best 4 years of my life. And that's when I really, really fell in love with modern.
How big is that program? Like, how many students are in like your graduating class? Like, was it like small, like 20 of y'all, or was it like larger, like 40, 50 per class?
When we started, it was bigger.
Uh-huh.
So around like, I feel like it was around like 40 something.
Okay.
It was pretty big in the beginning, but you know, like 4 years goes by, a lot of things happen.
Yeah.
Normally, in class, it kind of shrinks just because at U of A you can also graduate early. So some
Mm.
people did leave a little early, and so by the time we finished, it was around like maybe 20 something of us. And my two modern teachers, Tammy Dyke Compton and Amy Ernst. Amy trained with Bella Lewitsky,
Oh
who
yeah.
yes, and Tammy went to Juilliard. Her like mentor was Linda Kent, who was in Paul Taylor.
Yes.
And so Linda Kent, she actually came to the University of Arizona and taught a Taylor class.
Oh, nice. You did the flick to fling. That's amazing.
And I remember Tammy she came up to me and was like, I think you should really consider this company.
Okay.
And a lot of times in dance history, we would look at like Esplanade and like Taylor, we would watch the documentary. And, you know, I just fell in love with everything that Paul was saying, like his movement and
Yeah.
just stood for his work. And I was like, I really like Paul Taylor.
Yeah.
Dream company of mine, I put it on a whole different level. I was
Yeah.
like, some point in my career, I want to audition and dance for Paul Taylor.
Mm.
Like, put it like up. You know when you have your dreams, like it was like here.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I
yeah.
gaps like with everything in life. When I came to senior year, I was like, okay, auditioned for a lot of companies, you know, did the whole thing that you normally do, January all the way
Uh-huh.
through graduate. And wasn't until around May-ish you guys put out, no, it was around March, you guys put out something saying you were having an audition, and we all went crazy. Like all the models,
Really?
we were like, oh my God, are you gonna go to this audition? Like, and it was after graduation, we were like already planning everything.
How many of you all come? Like, how many was in like the group from Arizona that auditioned?
So it was actually just my friend and I, only because at other people started to get jobs, they started to take things.
Oh, I see.
But it was like even underclassmen would come up and be like, "Are you going to go to the Taylor audition?" Like people who had gone to the intensives that couldn't audition yet.
Right, right.
My roommate and I, we came to the audition, and it was so many women. Like it was so many women, but I loved every single moment of that audition. And I'm not just saying that because I'm in the company now. I can honestly say that from the time I walked across the floor, because I had watched in that documentary, Paul said the first thing I do is make them walk across the floor. And I knew that was going to be the first thing I had to do. And I was like, just be you. Like they
Yeah.
want to see you walk across the floor. Not you
Oh
as
my
a
gosh.
you as a
Jada, when I tell you the stories of people walking across the floor and how, like, the minute you're on the other side, you completely understand what Paul is talking about. Because there are just some people that give you the jazz walk with the shoulders. Some people are giving you just like sullen slinkiness. But then he's so honest. He's so right. Like, he could literally make the cut right there from that first walk.
yes. And I remember like watching some other girls and I'm just like, you know, I mean like not to judge, but
Right.
you can see what they mean by like just be you, like just walk. And as a dancer, the hardest thing to do is walk and run in any piece that you do, because it's like, okay, run like this, or like run like this, or no, just run, or
Right.
just, and you overanalyze it. Like you overanalyze something as simple as just walking. So I just was like, okay, walk. And then I had Laura, she taught us Scottorama with Tina and Buggy. I remember we were in studio.
You guys do a
Yeah,
trio where you do the thing?
yeah, we did that.
Woo.
I remember, I think Heather taught a little piece from Roses, like towards,
Beautiful.
I remember Buggy, she taught like this really difficult across the floor jumps that I did not know the Taylor jumps at the time. So I was literally like, I said to this other girl that we had to girl across the floor with, like, oh my God, do you know what's going on? Like, but I was like, I'm going to try my best. I'm going to be full out. Like, I'm sure that they can see that I'm trying, and it's like not like I'm not used to it yet. And I remember then getting kept and everything, and I had to do the class with the company as well as Taylor too. And we had Kathy, and I was just like this, like what I meant to do. Like I fell in love. It didn't feel like I was being like, or still auditioning. Like I was just dancing and enjoying the entire moment. Like it
Awesome.
felt good. Like I felt like, it felt like home. You know that feeling where you're like, I can be here. Like I can work. I can, like, then I started to get all into my head. I was like, okay, like baby steps. Like you haven't gotten the job yet. And I honestly didn't think I was going to get it because I didn't know what they were looking for. And I know with these auditions, you can't just be like, oh my God, I killed it. I'm going to get the job. Like I was #1. I honestly was just enjoying taking the class and learning, watching you guys do your thing. Like that's what I was living in the moment.
Yeah.
And I was walking back to my hotel in Chinatown, and I got the call from Novak, and Michael Novak called me, and I was in Duane Reade I was getting ready to go to the airport, and I literally was like, ah! Like screaming.
Turn around, we're going back.
Oh, and I remember at the time also John Thomason was like, okay, like calm down because we have important information to give you. And I was like, okay, I'm calm.
Which is always the worst. It's like John's trying to give you all this information and you're just like, I can't. This is the best day of my life. Yeah, exactly. And he's done it to everybody, so.
It was like, I was on cloud 9. I mean, I still am. It's
I know.
It's amazing.
But you were so prepared, it sounds like. From Candace at the Greer School to Amy at Arizona, like all those teachers taught you so well. To where like you're doing amazing in this company with all the things that we're like throwing at you, right?
Oh yeah, it was crazy.
You mentioned that you had Kathy at the audition, and I've just been thinking about you. You haven't had the chance to perform it yet, but you had been learning Arden, and I have the pleasure, because this is the thing that being in the company affords me, is that the men get to like come in, and then the women's trio of Art and Court, I get to sit down on stage, and while you get to enjoy them from the front, I'm over here in the back just like probably like with the shoulders like a little bit exhausted, but getting to watch in this case it's you, it's Madeline Ho and Iran Buggy killing it doing that like women's trio. It's so good. And so, but like, what has that experience been like working with Kathy to like put that together?
Kathy, I honestly love her because the advice that she gives you, it's not just like space and notes. And it's not just, like she gives you the nitpicky things, but she also wants you to dance and live it and be, like, she wants you to honestly enjoy it. And she wants you to, give it your all and perform it and look look amazing. And she's always like so willing to work with you on something that you're struggling with or you may not understand, because at the studio we don't have mirrors. So sometimes you need to be like, I'm trying to accomplish this, but I'm not. And I know when I first looked at the trio, I was like, oh my goodness, like I loved it. It was so fierce. Like I was like, once I get this, I'm gonna feel like such a bad bleep, Yeah. But I remember coming home after rehearsal, and I said to myself, I need to start. I like Maria, Lisa, and we call it like drilling. So we'll start like drilling choreography because we were like we like to get it like muscle memory. Yeah. So I went home and learned a little bit of it every single day until we started working on it, because for me, being in this company, I kind of like to know what I'm doing beforehand. Like even if, say if Buggy wants to be like, okay, do you need help with this certain part? I at least want to know what I'm doing so I can ask her like, waste people's time and be like, I have no idea what I'm doing, teach it to me. There's times where you can do that, but it's also better to just come in prepared. Right. So I would learn a little bit, and I would just sit there and watch, like, I was looking at the tape of Carissa, Iran, and Laura do it, and just like angles and direction stuff. And honestly, it is so fulfilling to do.
Yeah.
And it's hard, it's
Yeah.
tiring, but it's
But
also
oh
so
my gosh, it's so good. But like, and the thing I was gonna say is like, as much as you guys are like on point and drilling it, the most interesting thing to me is how different the three of you women interpret it, right? Like to see like sensuous Buggy next to like wild child, I'm small, but I'm gonna like whip myself around Madeline. And then you are there and you're so like passionate and like authoritative in every shape that you're making. And like to see the three of you guys together and then doing it, it's like, and like that's the genius of the women's trio, right? Like it's always been that way. It's always been three very different movers together.
yeah.
Um,
um
I'm so jealous. I want to get up and dance it. I mean, it's just one of those things. The men always want to do the women's
I
parts
love
and vice versa.
he's my partner for the trios afterwards, and he's like, yes, you got it. Yeah, he's like my little cheerleader, and I'm like, I love this, but I like actually need it.
Yeah.
And it's so, especially after we, you turn around the men, and that's like the hardest part of it all. It's because you're like, am I gonna hit the right corners? And after you do it, you're like, yes. You finish it, and it's like, it's honestly so satisfying, and I love
Yeah.
all the accents of it all. Like that's right up.
Do,
Yes.
do.
Yes, it feels so good to do, and art in court is so challenging. I think it's been the most challenging piece I've been in with the company so far in terms of technique, especially the style, as well as the technique of just like, you have those quick like petit allegro jumps as well, and you have to do your technique like ballet technique as well as Taylor style on top of that.
Right.
So incorporating both of those, and also I am such a like I like to hit things. I'm a powerhouse. And there's certain parts of art and where it's teaching me how to be smooth and sit in the movement. And that's what I love about Kathy. She teaches you how to use your plie, let the chasse take you. Use your feet, like let all of that, the stuff that you have on your body, like you don't have to muscle through all of it. And when you
Right.
first this company, like if you do that, you're gonna burn yourself out.
Yeah.
You are
Yeah.
have to learn how to use the pelvis, use the back, use what you have in the correct way to fulfill the movement, as well as like not kill yourself. Like you are going to be tired, don't get me wrong,
Right.
but in a more efficient way. And that's what I love about how Kathy is like coaching us like before the pandemic and everything. Like she's
Yeah.
really, I love that about her. So
Well, I know you haven't performed it yet, so I thought I would show you something that when you do eventually get to go on stage, you'll see, which is this is the painting that Jean Moore designed that has been made into the backdrop. Gorgeous.
I love that.
Do you know, I read a story that Paul gave an interview once, and he said his idea was that everybody in those like little speckled unitards, tights and leotards rather, would look like bugs, his obsession with bugs in front of the rose, which I think is so pretty.
I love that. That's gorgeous. Thank you for sharing that.
You're welcome.
I didn't know that.
Oh, I can't wait. I mean, it's the icing on the cake when we get to go on stage together, and it's going to be so amazing to go back with you. I want to invite anybody that has a question for Jada and I to write in on the questions button at the bottom. It's the question mark at the bottom. We have two already. Let me check in what we can say. Laura Halzak, wonderful Laura Halzak, was wondering if you could talk a little bit about working with the incredible Betty DeYoung as well. Because like, while we also have Kathy, who second generation of the Arden cast, so she has all that knowledge from Susan McGuire and everyone. We also have Betty DeYoung, who, Paul's right-hand woman. So what's it like working with Betty? How has that been?
I love Betty. Honestly, at first when she would sit in the front of the room, I was so nervous because you know her history and you know how important she is in the company and all her wisdom, but she also gives you such incredible feedback for you. Like she can, if you are struggling with something, like she will give you a piece of advice or something to think about that you necessarily haven't thought about yet, or even Kathy may not have said to me, but she would tell you something and you're like, oh, I didn't think about it that way. And then all of a sudden it clicks.
Yeah.
And remembers things like even in the different generations. And she'll like, I remember like with the women's trio, that diagonal, that's, she's like, it has not been right. And then, fix it. And it's because she has this memory.
Yeah.
And it's isn't how she can like go back in time and remember how like Paul had fixed this or how he fixed it on a certain person because of their body and what they were good at. And she'll bring things up, or she'll talk about the different options that maybe like Carolyn did, or Sylvia did, other people in the past have done. And she gives you the correct feedback for you. And she's also origin, and every note she gives you, she also has a little story with it. So you get to like paint a little picture, go back in time, and you can kind of like see it. So I sometimes I'll just go up to Betty and ask her like, oh, did I correct this note this time? And she'll like, yes, like, she'll give you correct feedback. And I love that we get to have her in the room.
Yeah. When she changes something and says, oh, it hasn't been this way like in 30 years or something, I'm always just like, oh, my version's going to be better. Oh, cool. It gives you that feeling that like you're improving the dance in a certain sort of way.
Yeah, it's really satisfying.
Let's see what else, other questions we have. Somebody asked in the comments, Candace Calmer Smith asked, what has been the most surprising thing about company life?
Honestly, I would have to say surprising, being on tour.
Really?
Yes, but also not just like of course, like on stage, but the memories and like the building that you do with people and the relationships, like in the hotel rooms and like in the dressing rooms and stuff, and those type of things, like they were really surprising to me, because although like I'm very new to the company and there's people that have been here for like a while, all the women have been like so supportive and just like we all look out for each other. It's not that type of like catty behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I was surprised about. Like I was kind of worried, like maybe people are gonna be like, you never know what to expect, but the support and love and that family bond that we have, it's like, I think that really surprised me. And I can't wait until we can all get back to that, because it's those moments that you really like hone on to. And even just going through a process with people, you feel like closer to them. Like you go through the process of doing the trio with like Iran and Madeline, like that's like a emotional energy, and you watch each other and you build like these type of dance relationships. And like outside of that, you look at your feet and you have similar bruises as the people that you're working with. Like,
the war wounds we have together.
oh, Burn, look at mine. That like we bond in that way, and I love that about this company. It's truly special.
What's your favorite tour story so far?
Okay, well, I wasn't dancing on this. This is my first time on tour.
Okay.
And just kind of like the hotel that we stayed at in Chautauqua.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of like a little bit like a haunted mansion in a way, like all those pictures.
Yeah.
I mean, just like that's my favorite story, because like that was my first time ever on tour with you guys, and I wasn't even performing. I got to just like sit back and just see how things were being run, but it was just like so interesting because I had never even heard of Chautauqua.
I know, right?
Like just looking back on that tour, I was just like, wow, like everything was just like so new.
Yeah.
And that's the first time I met, like me, Lisa and Maria really bonded on that trip, and just like, it was just like so many new things for me. And I think that now.
Oh, I mean, there's going to be so many more tour stories to come. I can't even wait. But yes, Chautauqua was fun. It was nice to like get to know you as we were, in random Chautauqua, New York, which was amazing, I have to say.
Yeah.
I don't know how to pronounce this name, but somebody would like to know, what Paul Taylor pieces would you like to go into? Like, what are some of the, like the dream pieces that you haven't gotten to like dive into yet, and like why?
Esplanade.
Okay. I mean, is this the one, if you love running and you saw it in college, it's gotta, you want to be in it.
Yeah, I gotta do it. Another one, I would have to say runes, because I just heard so much about runes. I think it's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which there's so many.
I know.
So and also I fall in love with like new pieces every day that I get to watch, because luckily we being in the company, you get to see things being uploaded to Vimeo, and you get to watch like so many different casts perform so many different things, like even pieces that I'm in right now. Like I'm like, I would also love to get the opportunity to do like this role,
Right.
things like that. So I mean, there's so many. I
Yeah.
just feel like, I get to be in so many other pieces and get to tour again and do all of that. Like back in rehearsal with everybody, and back to we're all like stressed in studio too. Like, oh my god, we have tour in like 2 days. Like, but definitely Esplanade. Like when I complete my first Esplanade,
That's when you know.
yeah.
When you have all those like lovely, delicious raspberries on your like on the sides of your legs.
But also like stuff like that, like Esplanade and running and stuff like that's really difficult for me. So it's gonna be a challenge. I'm not really good at.
Well, I, for one, am low key obsessed with you and have already made a list of roles and dances that I cannot wait to see you in. And maybe I'll send Novak an email after we're done here. Um, I want to give a shout out to the company for letting us do this. We are having a virtual event on November 19th. We would love for you to register. The event is free to attend. The link to register is in the company's Instagram bio. We hope that you will use it. I want to thank Jada so much for coming and sharing her story this Friday night. It was so wonderful to get to speak with you, Jada. You're lovely. Everybody be well. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Mwah, mwah. Night, everybody.
Thank you.